It's currently 10/12/25, roughly 1912, maybe 2012. But I was just pondering the video I made on Friday, I believe. It is now the end of the Sabbath. So now Sunday, start of the week. The last cycle of being odd, heading into the even, which is my worst years. I was pondering the video about who really fought for civil rights. And I was even saying, well, since the European arrived in American soil, or wherever this land used to be called before that, I was Arsareth, it's been nothing but negative chi. And they're like, oh, you got free from slavery. I'm like, hey, technically, slavery was never, as it's written, Section 19 of Amendment 13, slavery is abolished, except through criminal punishment, meaning it's not abolished. See the wordplay. Like I said, most blacks couldn't read coming out of slavery. So if I say, I even asked that question, I did make that video too. I believe it was Dark Candor or Darkness of Candor. Did Dr. King and all those who were talking about fighting for civil rights, were they aware of Amendment 13, Section 19 about the slavery clause? If so, then other video they would be agents working for the beast, because, like Brother Minister of the Nation of Islam was already doing, they should have all been in one accord asking to go back home and demanding, because it was owed to you. So you're not asking for money, you're demanding what's owed through reparations. And once again, Amendment 13, Section 17, that the American government shall help aiding in the migration of Al-Kabalanians back to the continent and help to recolonize it. So you have that in the clause. And you also have that, in Section 17, but you also, and on top of it, you have in Section 10 that the descendants will never be, citizens. So as you have it, you have 3 sections in Amendment 13 alone where it says something about getting back home, never being citizens, and also slavery not being abolished. But you even asked that question. So that was January 31st. 1865, and you're saying also 18. So that's over 150 years ago, in which slavery was modified. But then you seriously, then when you go to a lot of the civil rights movement, get over, or even the day, get over, it was so long ago. I'm like, actually, it never ended. Like I said, you had post-slavery, you had you had post-slavery in general, which was horrible. Then you had the Black Wall Street burning down. Then you had the time up to civil rights movement, which was horrible once again. And then even during the fight for civil rights, horrible. You can go to Google, you can go to YouTube and watch actual footage. Of course, Google and read up on it, but watch actual footage of what blacks, since everybody fought for it. I didn't see too many other races present during those water hose fightings and dog unleashing, lynchings. So how many whites, Hispanics, Mexicanos were lynched and hung? Because I swear all I have is videos and pictures of blacks. Just everybody fought for it. But it never ever stopped. I said, and then you from the 60s, let's say you had a kind of a brief stop, but then not really, because you had Reagan in the 80s, which declared the war on drugs, and it was more heavier in the white community because blacks couldn't afford it, and therefore on top of it, damn sure can't import it. Mostly it became from Colombia, right, which is not blacks. They're Euro Asians. Once again, I don't know why so they should be targeting who? The Colombian and Mexicans, whoever was in the country, not blacks. Because blacks had no resources to bring it in, and the whites, because that's the government letting them come in through the borders. But yeah, so then you have that. But then you have the 90s, where Clinton opened the doors to violate your constitution. Was it the whatever amendment to peace, safety, and security in your own dwelling with the stop and frisk, which allowed many to be, like I have today on YouTube, they say, oh, you don't have to talk to the cops if you're not suspected of a crime, blah, blah, blah. Oh, just for being in a drug-filled area, though this is your residence. Oxymoron. It's your residence, meaning I sleep here. When I go outside, even though I'm not selling dope, I'm on the corner because I'm hanging out here. But because I live here, they can illegally pat me down and search me. I mean, and go through all my being. And if I refuse, they can put me in jail for resisting arrest. So that continues on from the 80s to the 90s. The 80s, Black Panther Party and all type of violations. And that'll be the 70s as well, and the 60s. So look at all that. So where was there ever a time where the white race wasn't attacking blacks? Early thousands, it transformed over into more police. Let's say now you have to see it chilled out because now you enter into the age of technology, where cameras and camcorders, they were using camcorders to upload to YouTube. See, social media, the older version, but still, it was more easier to record. So it was more behind. It's now how the spiritual attacks, more behind the scenes. But you were still getting videos throughout the 90s into the early thousands. See, that's what I said. The thousands where you had Genesis 6, where technology started because that was still, for me anyway. Most don't even know about Genesis 6, but because of radio personalities of conscious community, how it was for the Black Panther Party is the only way I found out about it. Because other than that, nobody else was talking about it, and that led to growing. So you see, that was like 2006, and then later to Facebook and such other social medias where you can now upload images and videos of what's going on. Like I said, you stand together, fall together. About 2015, you can use that as one of the outlets to somebody in backwood Tibet, backwood whatever, can upload videos who would never have any voice other than that, can be used to communicate what's going on in their community. And that has been used myriads of times, because a lot of these stories you hear about in these racist ass towns and states, if it weren't for social media, you would never hear about it. So that's proven Stand Together, Fall Together to be more valuable at that point in time. Well, this point in time, but more at that point in time, because it was the beginning of technology, and the people still didn't have a voice, and it's still waking up. But now, like I said, some parts of the Stand Together, Fall Together is void, because now with the part about not doing anything, because they have AI, authentic intelligence, they can now lift 9,000 pounds with one unit. So really, the elements of Stand Together, Fall Together is void right now. So since everybody, there's some other videos, since you can, you got power, you go ahead and you do it. Hopefully somebody has a way better plan that's way more effective, because the plan was, like I said, it was like the scriptures. They didn't want to listen to I and may have to say they're going to do it themselves, but they didn't even realize they have nobody that's really, they thought that I was pump faking. It wasn't really who I claimed to be. They're going to do it themselves, but they're not really dedicated to the movement. They just on some jealous ass bitch ass shit and willingly said, I'm not doing anything. So now, that was the beginning of the technology. Like I said, they were already talking about robots and AI. I was going back and watching my YouTube videos, or watching YouTube videos from like 2010. I'm like, damn. So the multiverse was using I to communicate and to prepare for what was coming. And now here we are 10 years later from Stand Together, Fall Together. And it's no point of it now. That was literally a 3 to 7 day program. I say have money, food, and resources ready for a year, if not more, of shutting down and doing nothing. In reality, I say we feed the system. Without you the oil, it would just stop. So all it literally took was 3 to 7 days of Americans, and other people around the world, but Americans not working, not buying, not doing it, staying in the house and not doing anything, and the government would have came crawling. If not, the guys would have came down and demanded some answers. Now it's void because they got AI. Go ahead and try. No, don't even try it. You said you can do better, right? Go ahead and do better. But see, because of that, why I say Crab in the other videos I made, Crab in the Barrel destroyed the future part 1 and 2. Racist whites, exactly, they have all the power, but once you continue to suffering or sacrificing while they sit there and enjoy their benefits, and they have all the connections and doing nothing about what their brothers doing, especially with their badges are doing the blacks, and still oppressing you physically and or spiritually, and never ever stopped. Never stopped. So how don't you own me for slavery? When you sit here and said, oh, I'm not my father's. But as it says in scripture, you continue the path of your fathers, for they killed the prophets and you dig their graves. You're doing the same activity. This is what I say, like 1865. You're just a modern version. They can't no longer openly lynch you, openly rape you, openly put dogs on you, openly put fire. So they modernize how they're doing it, but they're still doing it. So I require my money by the end of next month. All the coons that sold out, they don't get a cut. So even more easier to pay those. Well, I'm only speaking for I for right now. It's easy. I demand $55 billion in gold, because since all them dudes sold out and decided to ride with whites, they're just getting mad now because they was partying with them and thought it was a unity, and they knew a black messiah was on the rise. Judas and the Black Messiah is a good movie, and they were just using them as always as pawns. As they just now realized, I don't get it, to get what they want, knowing that a leper messiah was on the rise. And now all the blacks are realizing, which I'm so educated, and now don't want to join with the whites anymore. But they've been showing you this since before all the crazy recent, like it said, Genesis, Sean Bell, Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin. That's part of that was like 2008 to 2011. My bad, Trayvon Martin was 12. Not even Mike Brown. Yeah, I think he made before. Well, Sean Bell and many, like 1 or 2, and then it was Trayvon Martin. That was like should have been enough. I mean, exactly how you stand and ride for George Floyd and did all that, but to simply threw your hoodie on for a young man who was 17 years old. George Floyd was a grown-ass man that had potentially crack in his mouth and gave a $50 bill. All Trayvon Martin did, a fake $50 bill, was walk down the street and get harassed and beat the shit out of some white boy that was harassing him. So that shows your mentality that you see, because you were still partying. I told you that energy. Still partying with the enemy. Still fighting with, still having, party, all that, the age of love, everybody. I told you. The energy changed over though, right? It feels like real crazy, and it's been feeling crazy. It's the climax. But see, and that night that George Floyd was after all that. See how we're tired. I know you're tired now, but see they were still pumping. Like they was doing all the dances, all the rapping. I mean, all blending in with you. Yeah, I can do that shit too. Watch it. Oh shit, yo, hey my brother. Yo, you can say nigga whenever you want, yo, whenever you want. That shows you just exhausted, but you still have the same heart as your enemy, because the energy you put towards George Floyd, you should have put towards Trayvon Martin. He was 17, killed by a 50, 60-year-old fucking, not even a white dude, a Mexican. Zimmerman is not white. He's a immigrant. Well, I don't think he's an immigrant, but of the Euro-Asian being. You only put your hoodie on and say, yo, put your hoodie on for a Trayvon Martin. I'm like, bet. See? I was already, go back to my fake Don Cortenai Bay on Facebook. Go back in 2011, even 2010, and you can scroll through the years and months, or the months, and you'll see how I was talking. Trayvon Martin, and Google, I believe Trayvon Martin was like 2012. And you'll see that I was already on the mission before Trayvon Martin. So I figured, since everybody was all riding, putting their hoodies on, let's get it started. But you was still partying, having fun with the enemy. And now you're crying about, oh, we ain't doing nothing with everybody else. Nigga, it's over. Go ahead, you go back to that Capuline. They're all these blacks that didn't do shit in America is attempting to get citizenship in Burkina Faso. And they were told no. Hand around, make the multiverse applauds you. You ain't coming over there. If I'm there, you ain't coming over here. You got to apply like a job. What's your resume for the black man cause in America? What were you doing against racial? Because it's heavy over there too, and there's way more countries involved over there. So what does your resume? See, I could go over there about. I just got the enemy on me spiritually, so I can't do anything. But I'm more the fit to go to the continent, and I'm still not even worthy to go to Burkina Faso. How you going over there? You been partying with the enemy the whole, and now you want to go. Not only do you want to talk about it, see, you're going over there because you're exhausted, not because you were about this movement and you trying to go join to make sure they don't claim the continent. You're just trying to get out of America, but if all you ain't trying to go to none of the vacation spots. You're attempting to go to where they're fighting for a revolution. Why? Why when you did nothing in America your whole life, but especially decade and a half to two decades ago, and past 2 decades exactly. Why? You weren't even involved with your community. I did like Emperor Haile Selassie, or at the time Rastafari. I started in my community, which no matter how much they hate me, the community leaders, the local police, and Congress, at least they heard about me because I could never meet the bull, that I have a 10-year history being involved with my community in reporting whatever and going to community meetings, being a part of the community at least for a year or two, till I figured out they wasn't really about, because there was no young bulls. It's all old heads in there. At that point in time, when I realized it, I'm only like 23, 24, 25. The young person in there probably is about 60, 50. I don't know. But there were no young bulls in there. I go to meet, I'm the only young boy in there. And from the community, there's plenty of young bulls around the way still that grew up in my era that was never involved or going and being involved with the community and doing anything in the community. Why are you going over there for? And not only going over there, but trying to go to somewhere, not a party location, but a revolution, but a location. Right. So everybody, like I said, because you're tired of white oppression, right? Because they never stopped. Return. That's how they can do. Yeah.